Hi everyone, I'm excited to be your group leader this week, and I'm also excited that I get to do my discussion on this week's reading of Identity and Difference in Organizational Life. I thought it was super interesting, and I'm excited to delve a little bit deeper on some of the concepts that we learned. So I'm going to go over the two approaches to understanding identity and difference, which are identity regulation and identity work. Identity regulation is a goal to regulate and control or make members' identities. There are many ways in which differences among members will be valued. So defining a person directly means describing someone's position, such as a mid-level manager versus a senior level manager. When one is described this way, the employee knows the range of their leadership capacities and the range of their authority as well. So when you define a person by defining others, you compare and contrast your position to that of another's. The example given by your textbook is that of a lower level hospice care nurse who defines their position. They don't have much authority or company status, so they'll define their job as hands-on and providing real care, whereas they'll define those registered nurses above them as pencil pushers or paper pushers. Providing specific morals and values means that organizations describe explicitly motivations that will drive their idea of a good employee. For example, Disneyland has some restrictions on the physical appearance of their cast members or their employees at their various parks. They can't have any visible tattoos, no excessive piercings, and no unnatural hair color. And another interesting thing that they do is when they're bending over to pick something up, such as a piece of garbage off the ground, instead of bending over at the waist, they will make a scooping motion by bending their knees. And this is done to prevent any immodesty that happens when just bending over at the waist. When you promote specific morals and values, that's when an organizational culture routinely offers a specific set of guiding values, which we discussed in Chapter 5. For example, excellent customer service, the latest technology, and productivity. When you provide specific knowledge and skills, it's either hands-on training in the field of work or the organization providing employees with specific knowledge already, such as with the law or with medicine. When fostering group categorization and affiliation, organizations foster feelings of community or us instead of them, therefore generating a sense of community and belonging. An example given are students that become integrated in the community of a university are more likely to have that connection to their college after graduation. Reinforcing hierarchical dynamics is a way to answer the question of who am I by defining the superiority or subordination elements between ourselves and others. These elements are often symbolically and materially reinforced within organizations. In order to establish a distinct set of rules of the game, organizations use communication to create rules and ways of doing and being. For example, specific ways to be a team player or work without complaint are efficient at regulating employees' behavior. And finally, when organizations define the environment for employees, they define the type of employee that they value. An example given by the book is when a company is faced with competition, globalization, and rapid change, they value employees who adapt to change, are aggressive, and will take the lead for themselves. Now, in regards to identity work, this is when members respond to their position within the organization by either accepting or resisting the identity defined for them by the organization. Research has been done and 7 images have been identified to help explain how employees respond to the identity forced on them by the organization. Now, the first one is this self-doubter. It's full of uncertainty and insecurity. It's been argued that instead of an identity being assigned, the identity given to someone based on their ability to achieve a specific identity, and that's later subject to further insecurity. There have been 2 types of insecurities defined, both symbolic and material. Symbolic insecurity derives from social anxieties, a lack of self-respect and self-esteem. Material insecurity comes from concerns of your job status or even the economy at the time. And these 2 forms often collide and influence each other. An example given by the book mentions a managerial leadership program put forth by an insurance company. The middle and senior managers chosen to participate in the program felt that they had no choice and they were forced to do so by the company they were working for. And the program picked a specific identity for managers to have edge, energy, decisiveness, and speed. This was then enforced through performance. So the participants realized the program activities required just as much energy as their jobs, instead of the fraction the company suggested. The organizers mentioned that this is to help them identify those leaders who work well under pressure, and then were asked to rank their peers in a test of decisiveness from best to worst in just 30 minutes. It didn't take long for almost half the participants to either drop out or become fired. And this program sounds brutal and harsh, but it's actually quite common culture in organizations. And according to Vanity Fair, Microsoft employs a similar environment. There's a program set forth that identifies a specific percentage of employees within each unit as excellent, average, and poor. The next image is a struggler, and they're characterized by dealing with contradictions and conflicts between views of the self and external demands. The struggler actively seeks to produce and sustain a self-image that's neither dependent nor independent of the organization at which they work. Socioeconomic comes into play with this classification. For example, a white-collar job is generally favored higher than a blue-collar laborer. The University of Nebraska did a study on the morale of miners who constructed a positive identity by focusing on the dignity of their work. They argued that all jobs are necessary, therein there's value in their work. They also view dignity as a job, and a job well done, as more important than the job itself. They also viewed those white-collar positions and possibly wanted to aspire to hold such positions someday, but they also recognized the value in blue-collar labor. And this is